So today we are going to discuss a little bit about the pivot. There's a misconception how actually the pivot works because some of the components of the pivot aren't visible by the naked eye, and you think golfers are doing one thing and they're actually doing another. And we're going to deal with that today to fix up your pivot move. And it's going to mean all the difference in the world because it's going to free up your swing and you're going to get more distance and more consistency. So come right back and we'll get right to it. So first and foremost, what is the purpose of your pivot? Your body is basically a spring that runs right down the center of your spine. And what you're doing is you're taking the club back and you're winding the spring up. So at the end of your backswing, you let the spring go. And that's where your power comes from. And if you're moving through the ball with your spring, you're going to free up your hands so they can hit it as hard as they like. But basically, the pivot does that. There are some people teaching that this is a great pivot, meaning turn the hips from the get-go, right? Turn the hips from the get-go. Now that looks like that's what everybody's doing because you're seeing the swing so fast it looks like they're turning everything immediately. No. I'm here to tell you no. The first thing you have to do in your pivot, and you can accomplish it several ways, is to get the weight back on your back foot. Don't turn your hips until the weight's back there. I remember when I was a kid, common philosophy was don't move your hands, don't break your wrist for the first 2 feet of your swing. And what that did, got your weight on the back foot. Now, once you did that, then you could pivot, and then your first move coming down was a shift laterally, and then you turn through the ball and hit it, right? So basically, the steps of a pivot is shift, turn, shift, turn. Now, when you're looking at a swing in fast motion, you don't see any of that. You just basically see, because it happens so fast, but that's what it is. It's shift, turn, shift, turn. And that lateral shift from the top of the swing down keeps your shoulders and everything, your arm right there and everything right there. If you just turned, then you would cause problems. You would hit it over the top. That's the flavor of the month. All the videos are talking about hitting it over the top. So how you get rid of that is basically some people back in the day used to actually have the hands move the hands first without the club, get the weight back, and then hit it. Byron Nelson did that. He moved the hands first, then the club, and that was getting his weight back. A lot of people like Snead Hogan had a forward press, right? That got the weight back with the turn. But you have to get your weight on the back foot to make a proper pivot. If you just turn and don't do the weight shift, you're going to end up, your leg is going to be stiff as a 2x4, and you're going to have too much weight on the front. You're not going to be able to pull it through, so you're going to have to spin out. Okay? The other thing is, remember, yes, Hogan straightened his leg. First of all, he had his leg like this at address, and yeah, he straightened his leg, but it was never like a 2x4. It was never like a board. The knee wasn't locked. Don't lock your back leg's knee Otherwise, you won't be having anything to push off into the shot. So that's very important. So even though you're getting your weight back and you're turning in, looks straight, doesn't it? It's not. I have a little room so my knee is not locked, and that's what gets me back into the ball, right? So it's shift, turn, shift, turn. You can't think about it. Once you get your shift, once you get your weight on the back foot, your swing is going to say, move off this right foot. Or some people use the left knee. It's going to work either way, but it's going to be shift, turn, shift, turn, turn. And that's where your power and consistency and accuracy are going to come from. And I'm not putting down stack and tilt people, because they can do it too. The weight has to go back, then they can stack and tilt, and then they can come through. Okay, but they got to get the weight on the back foot first, or you're dead. You got nothing to come back with. Just like a throw. Put the weight on the back foot, throw. You got no weight on the back foot, it's kind of tough to throw it. Simple. Simple golf. That's what we're talking about. It's not complicated. You got to get the weight on your back foot. Get the weight back, turn, slide, boom. That's it. And I know I have a very short swing, and everything I do, it happens very quickly. But you watch Rory. Take a slow motion shot of Rory. His first move is getting this weight. It's not the hip turning, it's getting the weight on the back foot. We're not turning, we're just transferring the weight on the back foot. Look at Annika throwing stomp. Same thing, getting the weight on the back foot, then turning, and then hitting. Lee Trevino, he didn't take it back straight. He broke early, just like Johnny Miller. But if you watch him, he got that weight on the back foot. Had a great pivot. Those are the people you should look up and watch. But that's the secret that nobody wants to talk about. And the pivot, get the weight back. Turn, shift, head. That's the proper pivot. If you want to see it overdone, look at these guys that are long drive competitors. That's what they do, and they do it. They move too much weight back, then they turn, then they move too much weight forward, and then they slam it. I can't even do it. I'll wreck my swing. Look at John Rahm. John Rahm, because his swing is so short, it's a heck of a lot of weight back first, then comes through. But you got to get the weight on your back foot. And you don't do it by moving the head. You don't do it by moving your head. You get the weight on your back foot by turning the shoulder. Turning the shoulder, shoulder actually does it. And then you turn, complete your pivot, then shift this way and hit it that way. It's not that difficult. Just people forget getting the weight on the back foot part. Okay? I hope that helps. Until next time.